From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. For our top story, as part of the administration's whole of government approach in addressing the impacts of the El Nino phenomenon across the archipelago, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday led the provision of various assistance to farmers, fisherfolks, and families in the southernmost part of the country, the province of Tawi-Tawi, in a ceremonial distribution at the provincial sports complex in the municipality of Bongao. Different agencies and departments such as the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE, Department of Trade and Industry or DTI, Department of Agriculture or DA, and the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD distribute their respective assistance as they convene for a 2-day Bagong Pilipinas Serbisyo Fair or BPSF in the province. These include cash assistance, employment opportunities, livelihood kits, and agricultural assistance, among many others. During the program, President Marcos Jr. distributed cash assistance to 10 selected beneficiaries in the province as well as 10 million pesos each to the provincial governments of Tawi-Tawi and Basilan. Let us now listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Maraming salamat sa ating speaker sa kanyang pagpakilala. Andito rin po ang ating mga kasamahan sa iba't ibang departamento na tumutulong dito sa ating pagbigay ng ayuda, ng bigay ng tupad, magbibigay ng iba't ibang tulong. At tayo po ay kailangan marami po tayong kailangan gawin. Kaya po sinasama ko po rito, nandito po ang ating DA Secretary Kiko Laurel. Andito rin po ang DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian. Kasama din po natin ang Secretary ng Department of Interior and Local Government, Secretary Benhur Abalos. Ang ating namumuno ng peace process dito sa Southern Philippines, the Presidential Advisor to the President on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity, Secretary Charlie Galvez. Ang namamahala sa retraining at saka reskilling at saka sa pagpalawak ng kaalaman ng ating mga trabahador, ang ating Technical and Education Skills Development Authority o yung TESDA, Secretary Teng Magundadato. Ang host natin, the father of the province of Tawi-Tawi, Governor Ismael Sali. Tawi-Tawi Alone District Representative Dimsar M. Sali. At nagulat ako, mukhang magse-session yata ang house dito sa Tawi-Tawi at napakaraming congressman ang nandito. Malalayo. Kahit malalayo po yung distrito nila, pumunta sila rito sa Tawi-Tawi para pakita na ang kanilang tulong, ang kanilang makita nila. Dahil po, siyempre sa appropriation, dito nanggagaling sa House, sabi, mabuti naman. At yung kanilang mga pinapasa na appropriation, yung mga kanilang pinapasa na tulong, ay makita nila na talagang umaabot sa taong bayan. The officials and members of the Parliament of Bangsamoro Autonomous Region or BARM, aking mga kasamahan sa pamahalaan, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Kinalulugod ko po ang makapiling kayong lahat kahit na po naparito ako dahil sa suliranin at ang problema na ating dinadaanan dahil dito sa El Nino. Subalit, napakaganda po ng tawi-tawi at tunay pong mapalad kayo sa yaman na dulot ng lupang ito. Kaya naman po, talagang ninanais kong magtungo rito, hindi lamang upang magbigay ng tulong sa mga kapatid na nating nasalanta ng matinding tag-init, kung hindi upang makita rin na personal ang pag-uunlad ng pagbabagong nagaganap sa Tawi-Tawi. At napakalaking bagay na, napakarami na ang pagbabago dito sa Tawi-Tawi. Ngayong araw, mamamahagi po tayo ng tig 10,000 piso assistance para sa mga napiling magsasaka at mangingisda na naapektuhan ng El Nino sa inyong lalawigan ng Basilan at sa Basilan. Ang DSWD naman ay mamamahagi ng 10,000 piso tulong para sa ilang pamilyang naapektuhan din. Kasama rin namin ang iba't ibang ahensya ng pamahalaan tulad ng Department of Trade and Industry, ang DOLE, ang TESDA, DA, para sa bagong Pilipinas Serbisyo Fair na ginaganap sa labas na handang magbigay ng serbisyo at tulong sa inyong lahat. Ang pakay ko po sa pag-iikot ko sa iba't ibang bayan at lalawigan sa bansa ay una, upang personal kong makita kung ang tulong ng gobyerno ay natatanggap ng mga tao at kung ito ba ay nakakatulong ng sa ating mga pangangailangan ng mga nahihirapan dahil sa tagtuyot. Pangalawa, andito rin po ako upang makausap kayo nang maunawaan natin ang inyong sitwasyon at makahanap tayo ng nararapat na solusyon sa iyong mga hinaharap na suliranin. Dahil sa pagtutulungan at pakikiisa ng bawat isa sa inyo ay patuloy na uusbong ang kapayapaan at lalong uunlad ang ating bayan. Ako po ay tunay natutuwa sa kapayapaan na inyong tinatamasa ngayon. Upang pagtibayin ito, masaya kong ibinabalita na ang inyong pamahalaan ay patuloy na magsasagawa ng mga proyekto para sa inyong kaunlaran, tulad ng Improving Growth Corridors in the Mindanao Road Sector Project na pinasyanan natin noong nakarang taon. Sa proyektong ito, 3 tulay ang gagawin natin dito sa Tawi-Tawi na siyang tutulong. Ito ay makakatulong sa inyong mga pangangailangan sa transportasyon at pagpaganda ng inyong hanap buhay. Pati na rin ang pagpapanatili ng kapayapaan at kaayusan dito sa inyong lugar. Tuloy-tuloy din po ang mga social development program ng DSWD. Nandiyan po ang Pantawid Pamilya Pilipino Program o ang 4Ps na tinatawag, na naglalayong isabay ang pag-unlad ng kalusugan at edukasyon sa pinansyal na paglago ng mga mahirap na pamilya. Nariyan din po ang ating Quick Response Fund at Kalahi Seeds, kapangyarihan at kaunlaran sa barangay, na makakapagbigay ng ayuda at trabaho sa panahon ng kalamidad. Ang Bangsamoro, umpungan sa nutrition o bangon, ay naglalayong din na makakatulong upang masugpo ang malnutrition sa mga bata, sa mga anak natin at kababaihan ng dadalang tao. Ang DOLE naman ay nagpapatupad ng tulong panghanap buhay sa ating disadvantaged displaced workers o yung tinatawag nating TUPAD program. Mahigit 30,000 na ang nakinabang dito mula noong Enero ng nakaraang taon sa ilalim ng TUPAD. Bukas pa rin ito sa lahat ng mga kailangan upang mapagsimulang muli ng laban sa buhay. Ngayon, at bago ako matapos, hindi ko maaaring palampasin ang mga sitwasyon na nararanasan natin. Alam naman natin na ang BARM ay nasa state of calamity dahil sa El Nino. Nais kong ipaalam sa inyo na nagsisikap ang inyong pamahalaan upang mabawasan ang tindi ng epekto nito sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay. Sa lahat ng ahensya ng pamahalaan na nandito, mula sa mga pinuno hanggang sa bawat empleyado, sisiguraduhin po namin na makakarating ang lahat ng tulong, programa, oportunidad sa ating mga mamamayan, lalo na sa pinakamalayong lugar tulad ng Basilan, tulad ng Tawi-Tawi. Laging unahin ang kapakanan ng pinaka-nangangailangan at mamuno ng may integridad. Ito ay ang hinihingi natin at ito ang kailangan natin na sa isang bagong Pilipinas. Ang adhikain na siyang isinisulong natin sa sinusuportahan ng inyong mga gobernador at leader dito sa BARM. Sa lahat ng ating ginagawa at gagawin pa, ang pakikilahok ng bawat isa ang pinakamahalaga. Saksi ako sa sipag at galing ninyo. Kaya asahan ninyong patuloy kaming magsisikap upang magbigay sa inyo ang nararapat na serbisyo at alaga upang makamit ninyo ang inyong mga pangarap sa buhay. Asahan ninyo, hindi ito ang huling pagkakataon na makikita ninyo ako. Hindi ito ang huling biyahe ko. Babalik-balikan ko ang kagandahan ng Tawi-Tawi at ang init ng inyong pagsalubog na binigay sa akin. Sa ating mga magsasaka, mga mangingisda at inyong mga pamilya, salamat sa inyong sakripisyo para sa bayan. Sama-sama tayong mangarap at kumilos para sa isang bagong Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang Tawi-Tawi, mabuhay ang Basilan, mabuhay ang BARM, mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
And you just heard the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Thursday said Her Majesty Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, in her capacity as the United Nations Secretary-General Special Advocate for Inclusive Finance for Development, or UNSGSA, has vowed to support inclusive finance and financial health efforts in the Philippines. Queen Maxima, currently in the country for a 3-day visit, paid a courtesy call to President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. at the Malacañang Palace on Wednesday afternoon. In a news release, the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO, said Queen Maxima's visit focuses on advancing key foundational building blocks for financial inclusion, such as connectivity, cybersecurity, digitization, and interoperable payments, as well as how to help Filipinos improve their financial health and build resilience to economic and climate shocks. The PCO said these issues are especially important for underserved groups, including farmers and micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, or MSMEs, in the country. It said Queen Maxima offered to help connect the Philippines to her development partners to share best practices, particularly to support efforts to improve connectivity. The Philippine President expressed appreciation for Queen Maxima's offer of support and concern to the Philippines, especially the MSMEs. President Marcos said there are already projects in the pipeline to improve the internet connectivity in the Philippines, noting that the country has the full capacity to address the issue. In her 3-day visit, Queen Maxima visited Talim Island in Rizal Province to assess the financial inclusion of the fisherfolk community, including smallholder farmers. Her Majesty is also scheduled to speak with a women's focus group in Manila on how financial services contribute to financial health and resilience. In both her UN work and in the Netherlands, she has championed financial health as a guiding principle in developing policies and financial products that are attuned to people's needs.
Dateline Malacañang.
In a related story, Philippine National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan and Her Majesty Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, who is also the United Nations Secretary General Special Advocate for Inclusive Finance for Development or UNSGSA on Wednesday, had a meeting to strengthen the financial inclusion of the country. Among those discussed in the meeting was Open Finance, a system that will share data to its clients from financial institutions that aims to expand access to financial services. According to Balisacan, Open Finance is included in the Philippine Development Plan or PDP 2023 to 2028 that would strengthen the confidence of financial institutions to provide loans to small and medium-sized enterprises or SMEs. The United Nations targets to expand access and provide accessible and responsible financial services all over the world.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday expressed appreciation to the government of Djibouti for helping Filipino seafarers affected by the Houthi missile attack on MV True Confidence in the Gulf of Aden last March. According to the Presidential Communications Office or PCO, the President thanked Ambassador-designate of the Republic of Djibouti, Ibrahim Bile Duale, during his courtesy call at Malacañang Palace. Yemen's Houthi rebels targeted cargo vessel MV True Confidence with an anti-ship missile while navigating the Gulf of Aden on its way from China to Jeddah and Aqaba on March 6. 3 crew members died, including 2 Filipinos. All of the surviving crew members, including 13 Filipinos, were rescued by the Indian Navy and brought to a hospital in Djibouti on the Horn of Africa where they recovered. All the Filipino seafarers have been repatriated to the country and got assistance from the Philippine government. The PCO said Djibouti's diplomat was among the 8 new non-resident ambassadors Marcos received at Malacañang Palace. Among those who presented their credentials were Jagdishwar Goburdhun, GOSK, Republic of Mauritius, Farhod Arziev, Republic of Uzbekistan, and Hassan Abdel Salam Omer, Republic of Sudan. The President also welcomed Major General Gotselin Morake, non-resident ambassador-designate of the Republic of Botswana, Mait Martinson, Republic of Estonia, Morka Mumba, Republic of Zambia, and Abdel Hafid Bonur, People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. The diplomats are non-resident ambassadors designate, which means that they would not reside in the country but will be accorded status as their country's official representatives. Receiving Estonian Ambassador Martinson in Malacañang, President Marcos, the PCO said, hoped the Philippines could continue discussions on security issues with the European nation. Martinson said the Philippine-Estonian relationship is a positive renaissance in which the two nations can combine their complementary experiences in various fields such as digital development and cybersecurity. In welcoming the ambassador, Goburdhon of Mauritius, the chief executive expressed hopes the two nations can explore ways to further strengthen their relationship. In response, Gobernador said he is looking at special collaboration with the Philippines in the health and agriculture sectors to combat diseases and boost agricultural production. As to Sudanese Ambassador Abdel Salam, President Marcos said he hopes his time as ambassador to the Philippines will be a time where both countries can begin a closer relationship. Sudan and the Philippines established their bilateral relations on March 7, 1976, with the Philippine Embassy in Cairo, Egypt, exercising concurrent jurisdiction over Sudan.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has approved the country's return to the old school calendar amid clamors for the immediate restoration of the April to May school break. In a news release, the Presidential Communications Office or PCO said the opening of classes for school year 2024 to 2025 would begin on July 29 this year and end on April 15, 2025. The PCO explained that this would start the gradual return of the school year to June of every year until the end of March the next year. The President gave his approval during a sectoral meeting with Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte during a meeting at the Palace on Tuesday. During the meeting, President Marcos told the Department of Education or DepEd to start the return of the standard school calendar days starting school year 2024 to 2025. The Vice President presented two options to the President for the school calendar shift. The first option comprised 180 school days with 15 in-person Saturday classes, while the second option was to have 165 school days with no in-person Saturday classes. Both options will end the school year on March 31, 2025. The chief executive, however, said the 165-day school calendar is too short, as such an arrangement would significantly reduce the number of school days and contact time that may compromise learning outcomes, the PCO noted. President Marcos also did not want students to go to school on Saturdays to complete the 180-day school calendar, saying it would jeopardize their well-being and demand more resources. The Philippine President said that instead of ending on March 31, 2025, DepEd should adjust the school year to end on April 15, 2025 to enable students to complete 180 days without going to school on Saturdays.
Dateline Malacañang.
Number of state universities and colleges or SUCs that produces medical students in the Philippines has reached 20. In a Malacañang press briefing, Department of Health or DOH Secretary Teodoro Herbosa said this is a significant improvement from the original 8 SUCs that offer medical courses during the past administrations. The Health Secretary also said that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. convened a sectoral meeting in Malacañang with health officials where they discussed the inclusion of the 5 gems of tourism in the hospital system beyond first aid. The so-called 5 island gems are Coron, El Nido, Siargao, Panglao, and Boracay. Herbosa said these are the ones that the government need to concentrate on and improve the care not only of Filipinos but also of tourists that visit these 5 gems. Let us now listen to the opening statement of Department of Health or DOH Secretary Teodoro Herbosa.
Yes, indeed, we talked about the reforms that the President wants implemented in our healthcare system. It focused really on emphasis on primary care. He We talked about how the idea of we're spending a lot of money on improving a lot of our specialty hospitals, but a lot of the diseases that Filipinos die from are actually preventable if we have good primary care services at the local level. So this was the gist of the presentation, wherein we will focus on number one, health promotion and disease prevention. Number two, acute care, and number three, women's health. So these are going to be focused based on our presentation to him, the development of the Bagong Urgent Care and Ambulatory Services Centers. These are mid-level diagnostic and therapeutic centers which will give primary care, yung first contact at the community level, those that are more than 2 hours away from a regional hospital. This will be run by our doctors from our regional hospital, and we started this project last January, and we now have actually 10 operational all over the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And we expect to open another 8 in the next few months. We are targeting as much as 28 for this administration, but I think we will exceed that because now I have 79 proposals from different regional offices. Attached to this is really a launch of mobile clinics. The DOH is procuring mobile clinics that will be used as a partner to go to the remote areas. And to complete the whole gamut from specialty center, regional hospital, bukas, mobile clinic is the Purok Kalusugan program. This is a program wherein we will revitalize primary health care in the community and going down below the level of the barangay at the Purok level. So yan yung napag-usapan namin, including all others. We will need the human resources. So we saw the gap. Inesent ko sa Presidente na we have about 190,000 needed to actually fill in the gaps of our healthcare system. That's with the net flow, no? Yung mga nag-migrate at yung mga nag-OFW plus yung nag-graduate from our schools. May mga good news in the meeting. We had Ched described that under this administration, there are now 20 state universities and colleges that are graduating medical students. So malaking improvement yon from a previous of 8 in the past administration. And then we are also increasing our output of skills through TESDA. And then we also talked about the 5 gems wherein healthcare is needed, especially in our 5 gems, the 5 islands, Coron, El Nido, Siargao, Panglao, and Boracay. So these are the ones that we need to concentrate on, and we will improve the care not only of Filipinos but also of tourists that visit our 5 gems. Kasi gida areas yung mga island natin. They're really in remote areas actually. So pag may tourist na nagkasakit or na-injure, you can actually see na malayo sila doon sa health center. So we're trying to remedy that with Secretary Frasco.
And you just heard Department of Health or DOH Secretary Teodoro Herbosa.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine government is expected to convene 2 foreign and defense ministerial dialogues or 2+2 meetings with Japan and the United States in the third quarter of 2024. In a launch meeting in Manila, Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo confirmed that his counterparts, Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will conduct an official visit to the Philippines in the coming weeks. Secretary Manalo said there is no specific date set yet, but the U.S.-Philippines 2+2 is currently being planned in July or August. The date for the Japan-Philippines 2+2 is likewise yet to be finalized, but Tokyo-based Kyodo reported that the meeting is slated in early July. According to Manalo, there are no possible agreements to be signed as of yet, but there will definitely be affirmation or reaffirmation of existing agreements. The Japan-Philippines 2+2 meeting will be the second of its kind since the inaugural dialogue in Tokyo in April 2022. The meeting comes amid efforts from both sides to expand cooperation and negotiate a reciprocal access agreement, a deal similar to a visiting forces agreement.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Philippines Maritime Industry Authority or Marina once again has been recognized for its high standards in training and certifying seafarers. The International Maritime Organization or IMO has placed the Philippines in its white list, indicating Filipino seafarers adhere to the strict international standards set by the IMO Standards of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping or STCW Convention. According to Department of Transportation or DOTR Secretary Jaime Bautista, the government aims to make the Philippines the marine capital of the world by continuously providing quality seafarers in the industry. The DOTR is working hard to address the challenges facing the maritime industry in order to protect its reputation. The confirmation of the IMO Maritime Safety Committee or MSC is proof that the Philippines adheres to the STCW Convention.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, Philippine Senator Grace Poe shared that the dinner with Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos was light and casual. According to Poe, the president did not request anything from the new leader of the Senate. Poe said Senate President Chis Escudero and Senate President pro tempore Jinggoy Estrada that priority bills were not discussed, as well as the Senate's inquiry on the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA leaks. The Senate President earlier said that the invitation from the President to the Senators was already made a long time ago. President Marcos expressed even his support to the new Senate leader. Among the present during the dinner were senators who supported Senate President Escudero, as well as Senator Loren Legarda and Senator Sherwin Gatchalian.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Navy or PN Flag Officer in Command Vice Admiral Toribio Adachi Jr. led the commissioning of the two new fast attack interdiction craft or FIC of the PN. According to the Vice Admiral, the BRP Hermenegildo Yurong and BRP Lawrence Narag are important assets for archipelagic defense that will allow rapid deployment and force projection to strengthen deterrence and security in Philippine waters. Adachi thanked the country's leaders and the Department of National Defense or DND for their support on the FIC acquisition project. With the addition of the two new Acero-class gunboat, the PN now has 6 FAIC, including the BRP Nestor Acero and BRP Loninato Toong that was delivered last September 2022, and the BRP Hener Tingangag and BRP Domingo de Luana, which were delivered in April 2023. 3 more Acero-class gunboats are scheduled to be delivered to the PN in the next 2 years.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippine Department of Migrant Workers or DMW reported that the 5 Filipinos on board Singapore Airlines flight SQ321 who experienced severe turbulence and made an emergency landing in Bangkok, Thailand on Tuesday are in stable condition. According to the DMW, they are closely monitoring the condition of the said Filipinos and they are currently receiving medical attention in different hospitals in Bangkok due to various injuries. All of the Filipinos are in good condition, including the child, but doctors are closely observing the condition of a Singapore-based overseas Filipino worker or OFW who sustained a neck fracture. The DMW and the Philippine Embassy in Bangkok assured that they will closely monitor their conditions until they are discharged from the hospital and continue with their travel. To recall, Singapore Airlines flight SQ321 was supposedly heading to London where it experienced severe turbulence which prompted the pilot to make an emergency landing in Bangkok.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.